What is the definition of success? So what are you striving to achieve and why? Let's just have a bit of a laugh with it and see where it goes. Be open-minded.
Karen Coleman, Excello Law, employment lawyer. From an employee perspective, or sorry, an employer perspective, what is the typical pitfall that they will find themselves in relation to employment law? What is a very, very common thing that they will potentially get wrong, potentially make themselves vulnerable to?
Yeah. So because my clients are good employers, they're decent people, and I find they tend to put up with a lot before they maybe decide, to do something about it or address it. So at that point, they put up with a lot, but they have no paper trail, and that's the problem. If you want advice and you want to try and exit somebody, if we haven't got a record of when you've spoken to them before about things or when they've done issues, it's no point saying to me, well, for the past 2 years they've had all these performance issues and it's never been raised with them. So it's the paper trail really, which I know, as a business owner, you've got lots of other things to worry about, and your little note taking or your little sort of meeting notes or whatever isn't your priority, but really that is key. Yeah. I think, as a business owner, and it's good for your own, you can look back, even if you just review it every sort of 6 months and think, oh God, that's still happening. I've got to do something about that before you get to the point where it's desperate to go, and then you're not giving me anything to work with because I've got no paper trail.
Yeah.
I concentrate on building a long-term relationship. So if I've known a client a long time, I get to know their style and they get to know my style. So I'd say all of my clients are actually good employers. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean to say that they give their employees everything they want or they let their employees get away with everything, but they see that keeping on top of the employee things is good for the business as a whole. So, if you've got somebody that's underperforming, then you can't just let them slide because you're going to demotivate your good employers. So I think with me, I'm not trying to, necessarily sack all of the staff. I'm trying to work with them to maybe keep them on or get the contracts right in the first place. But if it doesn't work out, then I will be there telling them how to move them on for the better of that business and for the better of somebody else. If you always see it as a them and us situation, you're going to get more conflict. And you may get more claims, or even if you don't get more claims. But I don't believe you as an employer necessarily feel better about that. You want to know that you've followed the right process and you've done it fairly and you've treated them with respect. And I think that then is viewed by your other employees that see that. And that is the way to grow the business, rather than this them and us that I think maybe some other lawyers see a bit more. And certain companies, thankfully I don't really attract that type of company, but there is some businesses that are still very much them and us. They must do what we say. If it doesn't work out, they're gone. Whereas I'm not saying that if it's not working out that they can't go, but you don't have to do it in a way that a power way. That there might be ways of achieving the same outcome that is more you feel better about as an employer rather than screwing them over. I've got this thing called that I like using called a protected conversation. So where somebody's not working out, and the employer's had a go and it's not working out. Seeing that as well, if it's not working out for the employer, it's probably that the employee's not very happy with it as well. Mm-hmm. So if I can script a conversation and script an offer whereby they're not offered, maybe a lot more than what they're due, and quite often it's peanuts really. But if you can script a conversation in a certain way that makes the employee realise it's actually better for us to leave on agreed terms. And then I can do that through like ACAS, so there's no risk of any employment tribunal claim afterwards. I like that because the employer's got rid of a problem, but they also feel good about how they've done it, and the employee is actually not feeling bad about it either, because and that really does make, I think that's good. That makes me enjoy the job. It sounds, it's an employment lawyer thing, but I like that because I've resolved that problem for them and nobody feels bad. There's no risk of litigation, and each party is moving on to their own better path.
It's ace. I mean, you've helped people, big time, because and I guess you can speak through personal experience with when I was working for businesses. It's highly stressful for to be
Nobody's natural
to
confrontational,
become a
are
bit of
they?
a cropper in any sort of legal
Yeah.
case. Employment law can be stressful for the employer and the employee.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I guess in your instance there, if you can actually show them a way and they're both relatively happy,
Yeah.
that's an amazing result.
Yeah, take some of the stress out of it. It won't always work, but I'd say 99% of the times it works.
Describe the type of client that you think where you can really, really offer value to, and fits the profile of a client that you're really looking to secure going forward.
It comes down to being a decent employer.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that doesn't mean paying them whatever they want and letting them get away with anything. It is believing that if you can manage your HR, it will be for the better of the business and to retrain. I think this is going to be the biggest challenge for employers going forward is retention, and retention is key. For me, it's key to make sure you performance manage the people that aren't your best employees, or you move them on. So I want a client that understands the value of the employees to their business. I want to give the employer as much information as they can whilst I'm sort of doing myself out of work, but
Mm-hmm.
I actually think the relationship is better because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I sort of do script and things. When I first get an instruction, I'll normally do a summary advice that tells them what's going to happen over the next if we're doing redundancy process, for example, what are the different stages, here's a timetable, this is what's going to happen when, this is what you're going to say when at this point, this may be that curveballs that might be thrown in. So again, taking the stress out of it for the employer, so the more they know, the more comfortable they feel as they go through these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Karen? Thank you.
So Mark was doing his little 60 seconds pitch or whatever, and he stood up and he said, it's good to see everybody. It's good. He says, I know last time we met we were all naked from the waist down, and at that point this random guy walks into the room and he just goes, "You must be in the wrong room." It was laughing. It was good.
Just have a bit of a laugh with it and see where it goes. Be open-minded.